Hi, I'm a seller, and I heard on the news.
The settlement came after a federal judge.
This settlement means buyers
requiring compensation to a buyer's agent artificially.
corruption throughout the industry.
I think a lot less than people expected to, but what it is causing is total confusion.
That with this settlement with the National Association of Realtors, that I'm going to save a fortune come August, and I don't have to pay the buyer's agent, right? So, hi, I'm Denise. And yes, I have heard that question when I go on listing appointments. So let's state some facts. The facts is that nothing has been settled as of right now. We're July 8th. And supposedly come August, we're supposed to implement a couple of changes. For each state, it's going to be different. And for example, the state of Idaho, there's really no changes, except for one is enforcing that if you're a buyer, you have to have a buyer's representation agreement with a buyer's agent. Right now, we still have the buyer's representation agreement in place, but not all the agents enforce that in order to see a house. So in order to go into a home, you have to have something in writing settled up front before you go in, stating the agent's commission. And that has to stay throughout the transaction. For sellers for the state of Idaho, nothing has changed. This lawsuit was between the sellers and the brokerages, stating that the brokerages had fixed prices of what they were going to pay the buyer's agent. In the state of Idaho, it has always been the seller's right to choose how much they're going to pay the buyer's agent, if they're going to pay them at all. That has always been the facts. So with all of this news static that's going on here, I thought I'd put my 3 listing agents together and let them chat about this. Keep in mind, this is as of July 8th and what we've been told. So we will keep you updated as we get closer to August, unless they push that out even further. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know. But let's listen to Chris and Lacey and Denise talk about what's going on and what they're seeing out there with their listings. Take it away, guys.
All right, well, let's clear the air on the recent NAR ruling, the National Association of Realtors, that affects every realtor, of course, nationwide, and some of the misinformation that's being put out there in regards to the news, this lawsuit between sellers and the brokerages, and the fact that people think that they can actually not have to pay a buyer's agent or something to that effect. And Denise, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's come about.
Yeah, I can take lead on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what's happening is that the sellers, so previous sellers, were suing the brokerages for set pricing to the buyer's agent. And what that means is basically they were saying that the brokerages set a price saying, hey, you have to pay the buyer's agent this amount. Now, in Idaho, that's never been the case. Never once. It may be an anomaly, right? There's a couple brokerages, I think, that were involved in this, but for the most part, not ours, which is best. Not anywhere locally here.
Yeah, nothing changes for Idaho.
Yeah, nothing changes for Idaho because it's always been a seller's option, right? You could pay whatever amount you want.
That's right. Yeah, it's negotiated up front with the listing agent and the seller. And then basically what we're doing that's a little bit different is, instead of it being listed on the MLS, multiple listing service, it's something that can be handled with a different document and discussed between the agents as well.
Yeah, so more in the negotiations or more behind the scenes rather than up front for all to see. That's really going to be the only difference.
Yeah, and what this means
seeing
is you're going to now be required to sign a document that they're working out right now to see a home. I'm going to come to you, I'm going to meet you, and I'm going to present a document that just says, hey, these are the things that we're covering
on the buyer side. Yeah, so what Lacey's trying to say is, like, when you call us, we say, hey, I want to see this home. Okay, we're going to have a paper that basically says you're allowing us as your agent to show you this home. That's basically right.
Yeah, and I actually like it because it's an upfront conversation between the buyer's agent and the buyer in regards to what their role is in this transaction. And to me, it's just a little bit more professional. Instead of just driving around showing people homes, you're actually approaching that conversation early on, saying, hey,
Yeah.
here's my role, here's what I'm going to do. And it just puts everything above board, nice and clear. People understand exactly what kind of, services that they're going to receive. I know that you've been working in this industry for a long time, and you've had your fair share of transactions.
Yeah. And it just sets the standard as to what's going to happen next. And
and don't you guys think that anyways, as a buyer, you should be interviewing the agent? And as an agent, we should be doing like a buyer's presentation
Absolutely.
to show them what we're doing so they know exactly what they're getting up front. So really, I think this is going to be beneficial because now it's starting the conversation to the buyers like, hey, now we have an excuse to sit you down and tell you, this is what we do for you. Now you see what we're going to do for you, why you want to bring us, and really why you don't want to use a listing agent, right? That's really why you need a buyer's agent, someone to protect you and represent you.
You mean don't use a listing agent as the buyer's agent? Yeah,
yes.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's like, I always make the analogy of asking your soon-to-be ex-spouse if they should get advice from their divorce
The
attorney.
divorce, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that makes about as much sense as that does. But
Yeah.
I like the formal process. Puts everything on board. Absolutely. So the way I see it is the service that we offer is it's a little more formal. It's going to be a couple more steps for the buyer that they're maybe not used to. You never had to sign anything before. They had to see a house before. Well, what about the commitment aspect of that? Maybe you guys can talk a little bit about how that commitment works. Is it something that you're locked in for a year, or how does that commitment work?
Well, really, but I want to steer back really quick because I'm just thinking about this. The energy drink pops in my head. Right now, Chris, you're the stats guy. You know all the stats. What's the percentage of sellers? What are they offering just across in Ada County right now? Do you have those numbers?
Yeah, so 94% of sellers and the listing agents list the house for 2.5% to 3%. And it's not fixed, obviously. It's not set in stone, but that's 94% of the listing
To the buyer's agent.
To the buyer's agent.
Yeah, and
correct.
is that across Idaho, or is that just what numbers do you have? Is that Ada and Canyon?
That's the entire state, actually.
That's the entire state? Okay, awesome. So really, again, just goes back to really nothing's changing. Even right now, to this day, across Idaho, that's just what sellers are offering buyer's agents. It's no set price. It can fluctuate. It's just
Yeah, so Lacey,
it's just another way to compete in the market.
Yeah.
Honestly.
for people that are buyers that don't want to get locked into a long-term contract with a buyer's agent, can you talk a little bit about the flexibility of that and how that works?
Sure.
For instance, you could do it for a day, or you could do it
Yeah, you can. You can do it for a day. You can do it for a time period. You can do it for a specific property. So say you called and you just wanted to see one property, and I'm going to drive there. I'm going to come. I'm going to present my paperwork, and I'm going to talk to you about, if you would like to make an offer on this property.
She's our shy one. She's our shy one.
What does a 30-second commercial on your home, a pre-listing inspection, and professional staging have in common? Imagine you and the Treasure Valley seeing your home on a commercial on some of the largest streaming platforms in the world. We make that happen. So we come up with a unique strategy, pricing, timing, and special marketing to get your home sold. We provide pre-listing inspections. Can you imagine spearheading any problems before you even go on the market and a buyer sees your home? Professional photos and brochures, not a problem. Imagine having a stager come in, stage your home, and give you advice. And that's what we're going to do for you. I don't even know whose couch this is. So let me ask you, do you have your answer yet? What does a 30-second commercial of your home, pre-listing inspection, and professional staging have in common? Abmont Realty Group.